What's up, everybody? This is Sean. Thanks for joining us today for another episode of the Strength and Leadership Podcast. I have a really cool guest with me today. His name is Tony Sanders. He's a completely new man, I guess you could say, in more ways than one, both mentally and physically. The weight loss Tony, holy cow! When I saw it on Instagram, you're training at the I believe Zach Mars' gym. It's the Olympic Iron Gym, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And he had mentioned you, and so I dug a little bit deeper and I started looking at some of the pictures and started reading your story, and I saw that YouTube video, and I mean, geez, I was just blown away. So for the people who either don't know or haven't seen it, can you kind of break down a little bit about your past and the amount of weight that you were at?
Yeah. It's been about 3.5 years. The heaviest I ever saw myself on a scale was 429 pounds. I know I was heavier than that at some point in time. But that's the heaviest I ever saw a scale read. My journey, and we can get into however far you want to get into it, but I was in a really bad car accident due to my fault. I was drunk driving. It was a one-car accident. I literally was lucky. I didn't hurt anybody else. I walked away with essentially a shattered knee. So lucky on so many levels, but it was a wake-up call for me. With that wake-up call, I ended up having to go into an orthopedic surgeon, and he basically said to me, listen, you're too high of a health risk on so many levels, not just your weight, not just your blood pressure, so many different things, such as my drinking and everything else that I was doing at that time, that he's like, I'm not going to operate on you. So that was my beginning of my wake-up call to say, you've got to get your life under control. Now, since then, I spent the last 3.5 years, I've lost 210, 215 pounds on any given day. So I've gone from 430 down to about 220.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. When the doctor told you that you were a health risk, and you mentioned this in that little YouTube video that was done, when he kind of told you, like, we can't operate on you, what was going through your mind? And was that really where you hit your breaking point?
You would think that would have been the final wake-up call, don't you? When the doctor comes to you and says, listen, you have no ACL, you have no MCL, no PCL, and both your meniscus are gone now from this accident. I don't see any of that. You need a total reconstructive knee surgery. Yet here I am, and I don't take full responsibility at that time. It was a wake-up call to me that I needed to start losing weight so that I could get healthy enough to have the surgery. It still took me essentially almost a year to kick myself in the ass and finally decide, not quite a year, I'd say about 8 months. It was the day that I finally decided I wasn't going to ever have a drink again. I was going to really kick it in high gear. It took me about 8 more months from that to really process everything and go, your life is at risk. You are literally so morbidly obese. You have a drinking problem. You have an eating problem. You've got to get right inside before I can get right outside. So that's when it kicked in. One day it kicked in that I had to mentally figure this game out first, because so many people talk about the exterior weight loss, and that's great. I mean, that's our billboard. That's what we use to promote things, right? That's what gets in this day and age of everybody on their phone that's continuously scrolling, and then they see the pictures and they stop, like you did. You had an opportunity to stop and then read the story. And so that's how we're able to connect with people. But it literally took me another 8 months to really wrap my brain around the fact that you're a potential risk of dying if you don't get this under control.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I can relate in some ways, as I had about a 90-pound weight loss too at my heaviest. So the drastic changes that you see, I mean, like you had mentioned it, those are the billboards. I think it's a great way to put it. And the one thing that really, it wasn't so much the weight loss that I was really interested in your story. You're so much more about the mental side of it. And I think that's something that many people forget and maybe not give as much credit to. What were the demons that you were battling in your own mind during that transition period? Like those 8 months where you had mentioned, you know, learning to take the responsibility. What was it that you were battling until you finally got to that point where you said, okay, I'm going to take ownership for this and I'm going to fix it?
Sure. You know, one of the things about it is that I believe that people have I have an addictive personality. And what do I mean by that? I mean that essentially, sorry, but essentially, it wasn't necessarily the food, or it wasn't necessarily alcohol. It wasn't anything. I was going to have an addiction of some sort, and I still do. That never changes. I've just traded bad addictions for healthy addictions. You know, for me, you talk about what happened mentally. I finally faced the fact that I'm an addict. Whatever that addiction might be, and it was food and it was alcohol for a long period of time. Okay, you are an addict of a number of things. Now, what are these negative addictions that you have, and how do you get them under control? So the very first thing for me, and I think the first thing for anybody, is the hardest step of being honest with yourself. It doesn't matter what you tell the rest of the world. It doesn't matter what persona you give off, whatever. It's literally being able to look yourself in the mirror and go, this is the problems that you have. These are the downfalls that you have. Now, how do you fix them? And I think that's where it all started with me. It started with me finally being honest with myself and saying, here are your issues. And if you don't get them under control, you're going to be 6 feet under before too awfully long. So you know, that was the day. It was May 21st, 2017 was the last day I had a drink. And that's the day that I really decided to take everything seriously. Battle those demons, battle those addictions, and change my negative addictions into good ones.
Yeah. Wow. And those are the things too, I think, that a lot of people don't get enough credit to, you know, because the demons that we all battle, I mean, and that's something too, we are all battling something, and we don't always know, you know, we're not always aware of that. And a lot of people can be very, very good at hiding that. Even addictions, you know, I mean, some people who are really, really addicted, they're very good at hiding it. And until, you know, we're able to own up to that and face it, it's really hard to make any progress. When you'd mentioned at the end of that video too, some advice that you would give to people is you said, just start. And I like that. And I was hoping that you'd be able to kind of elaborate on that. You know, when you had made your decision, okay, I've got to face this, I'm going to get better. What was your process? You know, what was your first step to get started?
Well, you know, I had started doing a few things before that day that I stopped drinking, just trying to lose some weight. And I had lost some weight. I had stopped eating processed foods, doing that kind of stuff, just little things here and there. But then the day that I made that decision that I was going to take this 100% serious, and start on the mental aspect of things, the way that it started for me, and I was lucky. I think that a lot of people, there's a lot of good tools out there to be used for whatever your addiction might be, or whatever you're going through, your depression. You know, there's a lot of people out there that have a debilitating anxiety. You know, there's a lot of different things out there that people hide because they're embarrassed of. I think that's one of the big things about me, is making sure that I have this transparency with people. People go, you're not embarrassed about your story? Well, no, I'm not embarrassed about my story. I can't change any of my story, but maybe my story can help a few people make a connection can, you know, change their circumstances and change their narrative and,
Right.
and come out like I did. But for me, when you talk about what happened on that day and I started to take accountability, first I owned up to it. I owned up to all the bad shit that I had done to people, all the stuff, the negative that I brought into people's life, because I knew that everything that I had done in my entire life before that, I was going to have to let go. If you hold it with you, if you somehow continue to, even if you want to change, if you continue to hold the negatives in your life, you're never going to fully be able to mentally change. So you're not going to be able to physically change. Mm-hmm. So I started with going, okay, I did this, this, and this to people, and I'm not going to be able to fix it, but I'm going to go acknowledge what I've done. I acknowledge my mistakes in the past. I let them go off my chest. And then I started in on me. I started in on being a new me. And I just started it that day. Like you were saying, elaborate a little bit more on start today. That's the biggest thing for people. If you're somebody, let's say that I hear it with people who smoke all the time. I'll start after this, stop after this cigarette. I'll stop after this pack. If you say those words, you're not ready to stop. You have not made the mental determination that you're going to stop smoking, because you don't need to have one more cigarette. You don't need to start tomorrow. You don't need to start next week. You don't need a New Year's resolution. You don't need anything. You literally get up with your next meal. Instead of going to Burger King, you go ahead and make your steak and rice, your chicken and rice. You do whatever you need to do. Start now. It's as simple as that. Now, it's easy to say and it's hard to do because you have to mentally be ready to do it. And you're the only person, each and every one of you listen to this, you're the only people that can decide when you're mentally ready. I can't tell you what finally clicked in me one day. I woke up one day and I just didn't like who I was anymore. I was fed up with being the person that I was. And I was lucky enough to come to terms with it, take it all in, and be able to move forward. And every day of my life, that's why I just continue to do. My second kind of motto is, and I stole this one from Andy, and the gentleman who owns First Form. His little motto is, win today. You're not necessarily, if you go into the mindset that I'm going to win today, we're not going to win every single day. Let's be realistic. But if we win 7 or 8 out of 10 days, damn, that's a pretty good life.
Yeah.
So I literally go in, my mindset is so simplistic that I get up in the morning, I think, let's win today. What do we have to do to win today? We've got our work, we've got our family, we've got our meal prep, we've got our gym time. What are we going to do to win today? I don't worry about what happened to me yesterday, because what's already happened, I can't change it. Tomorrow, I know a lot of great people that had plans for tomorrow or had plans for today, and they never woke up. So tomorrow is not a given. So I'm not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow yet. I'm solely focused on what we're going to do today.
That's such a great point. Especially, there's, I think it's Rick Warren, the pastor. He's got a great quote, one of my favorites. There's 2 days of the week that you should never worry about, and they're yesterday and tomorrow. And so that made me think of that, the way that you just are completely focused on the present and let the future worries come about as they do. So that's a great way to just win your individual battle every single day. And I think that's very evident that that's a way that contributed to your weight loss. When you started training, what were some of the things that you started off doing? Especially being that heavy, it's not like you can just hit the gym and start pumping out iron like you're doing now. So what were some of the things that you did in those early stages? And can you kind of describe how, you transitioned into a little bit more heavy weight training?
Sure. First of all, I was really lucky because while I've had weight issues somewhat up and down my entire life, essentially I was in the automotive industry behind a desk for 17 years. What that led to was 10 to 12 pounds a year here or there, and it adds up. Next thing you know, you're 150, 170 pounds heavier than you were when you started in it. So before that, I had, and even in my early years in the armor business, I was big into the gym, weight training, even did some competitive powerlifting for, a few years with a local coach. So I had a nice background. So I wasn't, and I think that's one of the biggest things for a lot of people, especially people that get to the size that I was. They have never had a introduction previous to the gym or a healthy lifestyle or anything like that. So it's almost overwhelming and so daunting to people for the standpoint that, okay, now I'm the size I know I need to go to gym, but I don't know anything about it. So it's so foreign, it stops them from just going and doing. And I think that's one of the things that's out there that really stop people. But for me, so I had a background. And I told myself, what can you absolutely guarantee yourself you can make the promise on paper that you can do every single week? And I said to myself, I can get up and I can, because I wasn't that guy that was going to tell myself I'm going to get outside and take a walk, because that would never happen. I'm going to drive my ass to the gym. I'm going to get on the treadmill. I'm going to see exactly how far I go, how long it takes me, and I want to be measurable. So I told myself I can get on a treadmill for 30 minutes a day, no matter how slow the walk is, no matter, the distance. I'm going to do that 30 minutes a day. And then I told myself I'm going to do essentially a push-pull leg 3 times a week. Is why I do 3 workouts a week, and they're going to be probably only a half an hour because I can't do much. Because my body just wasn't going to allow me to do it. And this was to a point to where I could start doing some stuff with my legs. It took me almost a year to get enough stability in my knee to be able to do anything. But I finally got to the point to where I was. So I do a push day, a pull day, a leg day, about 30 minutes of weights. And that's where it all started for me.
Did you eventually get the knee fixed?
No, the funny part about that is now I need a full knee replacement because I have taken all the cartilage out of it from exercising. I'm bone on bone. I'm starting to get that nice bow-legged curve. I just went to my orthopedic, and he's like, there's a thing called maintenance that's okay for you to do. You don't need to continue to try to push this. And I said, well, you've already told me the only thing that you can do anymore is replace it. So what's the problem? We're not going to do any more damage. The worst thing that could ever happen at this point is a dislocation. So yeah, I'm literally just going to, I push it until it's finally time to bite the bullet and replace it. But I think I can suck a few more years out of it.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. But good for you, man, for pushing through that. So, when did you really start to see the poundage drop off? Was it after that first year? Because the one thing that you talked a lot about was making things measurable. So were you weighing yourself every day, or was it every week, or did you just not even worry about the scale for a while?
What I did was I didn't worry about the scale, but I did when I decided to get serious about this, I knew that this journey, and I tell anybody, if you want to be serious about this, dude, when people message me and they want to do that kind of stuff, I tell them, listen, you weigh yourself once a week, but you take a picture after every workout because it's your story. The scale can lie to you, pictures don't. So I literally started that day knowing that this was going to be a journey that I wanted to see the transformation. I wanted to be able to document it. I wanted to be able to show people that if I could do this, that they can absolutely do this. Because there's nothing special about me. The only thing that differentiates me between the next person who needs to do this is I finally chose to do it.
Right.
That's the only difference. There's no extra part in me. There's no extra knowledge. But for me, I started to notice, going back to your original question, I started to notice it was probably, I saw weight loss, but that first year, but it was an unhealthy weight loss. I looked really unhealthy. My diet wasn't, I was doing the, huge calorie deficits. I just didn't have the knowledge that I needed to do it the right way. Honestly, the first year I looked super unhealthy. The second year of it, I started to get in a much better frame of mind as far as knowing what I need to do with more macros and stuff like that, even though that's not what I do anymore. But that really helped me become measurable in what I did. And then I consider this last third year, which it's been about 11 months. I finally made a decision about 11 months ago. I said, we're going to see how far we can really take this thing. And I was lucky enough to meet some really good people in Keith Williams. He's a local IFBB pro around here, him and his wife, Tina. And then that's when I met Zach with Olympic Iron, Mars Bar, and everything else. And that's when things really, I saw the transformation in my body. That's when I really saw the changes being made on almost a daily basis.
Yeah, Keith is an outstanding individual. I had a chance to talk with him a little bit when I sat down with Zach a while ago, and so I was really excited when I saw that he was working with you, because I knew that obviously you were in really good hands. So, what was the difference like? Because working with an IFBB pro obviously is probably a little bit better than just working on your own. And, you know, what was the difference? Like, what could you, I guess the way I want to look at it is, what was the game changer between when he came in versus when you were just doing it on your own?
Well, at first, and because if you know anything about Keith, people do want his time and his knowledge. And I came to him one day and we're in a Crunch Fitness or whatever. And I said, listen, and I had known him before that, but I said, listen, I'm really ready. I'm kind of just going in circles at this point. I don't know what I'm doing. I need more help with my diet. I need more help with my workout routine. I need that. And he just said, if you're dead serious, I'm game. But if I think that you're fucking off, or I'm just like, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We're okay with that.
because if I think you're fucking off, or I think you're screwing up, or you're not doing your cardio sessions, you're not doing your workout and all that, he says, we're done. It's as simple as that. We're done. Yeah. I said, deal. We'll do it. It turned into, we started off as he was coach, I was client. We worked out twice a week. He gave me my diet plan. That was it. Since then, it's turned into an amazing friendship. We see each other every single day. We work out 5 days a week. Well, actually 6 days a week. We're on a 5 day on, 1 day off schedule. You know, I see him as much as I see my grown children at this point. So yeah, and what it allowed me to do was it gave me knowledge that I could never find, especially in Lawrence, Kansas. Are you kidding me? I mean, you know, you're not lucky enough to run into a husband and wife. They're both, you know, professional bodybuilders. They've lived this lifestyle for a long time. They can help you, you know, transform, manipulate your body and understand what it really can and cannot do. With that being said, I gained somebody from a standpoint that had all the knowledge I wanted, but I also gained a friend and an accountability. Mm-hmm. He pushes me on stuff that I didn't think I could do. And we push each other in the gym, you know. It's those things like anybody that's ever worked out by yourself versus a good training partner. A good training partner brings up that intensity level. Yeah. On the shitty days when you want to be in there and you're going to still do your 6 exercises and you're still going to do the pound you said, but there's just a different level of intensity that it brings and a different level of accountability. You know, I still know, like, you know, sometimes I got a donut addiction. And, you know, if I go home and one night I decide I'm going to be an asshole and I'm going to pick out a bag of donuts, there's a price for me to pay the next morning. I'm going to get up and I'm going to have to do an extra 30 minutes of cardio to pay for what I just did. So he taught me that we all screw up. I think this is something that a lot of people miss too. You have a bad day on your diet. And what ends up happening? You go, well, I screwed up yesterday. So what's it going to hurt if I do it again today? So you allow one bad day to turn into 2 bad days. 2 bad days turns into 3, which turns into a bad week of eating. And next thing you know, you're off the thing. Where instead, if you have a bad day of eating, just understand there's a price now to be paid for it. You get up the next morning, you go do the extra work, you get it in, and you move on, and you forget what happened.
Yeah.
he helped me with that huge. So yeah, he helped me on both the physical and the mental side of things that I would not have been able to do on my own.
Right. Right. What has your diet looked like? You know, when I know in the video you'd mentioned it was, you know, pizza and alcohol more or less, right? And what does it look like now? You know, was there anything that you couldn't stand when you first started eating and now you enjoy, or has it just been a slow change?
It's been a slow change. You know, I went from all the destructive foods and drinking everything that you can. And when I first decided that I was going to try to change my diet, I did the basic stuff. I didn't know everything that I was going to be able to do. So I just said, listen, what can we do that we know is going to start making you better? I cut out all processed foods, number one. Everything processed, just about, it was done with me. I knew the preservatives were going to be bad. You know, if I bought it someplace, it was going to be loaded with crap, loaded with sodium, loaded with all kinds of stuff. So I cut out all the extras. That progressed to then learning more about fitting what macros I needed and stuff like that on my own. That was great. Then when I got with Keith, you know, we did a lot of the typical bodybuilding diet with a lot of jasmine rice and chicken and stuff like that. And then the really nice part that we've transitioned to, and thank God for this, because this is so much, I love this so much more, but I'm sure you've heard of the vertical diet.
Yes.
Yeah. Dan is an amazing man who did that, and we have made, and that's been a huge deal for me too. We've taken in the vertical diet over the past, I don't know, 4 months or something like that.
Okay.
So a lot more red meat based. I eat a ton of steak, eggs, jasmine rice, carrots, a lot of Greek yogurt, nuts, cheese. I mean, it's just so much. I feel like a different person. My gut health has improved.
Really?
1,000%.
I've been on the fence about the vertical diet, and I know, and I've seen a lot of people have had a lot of success with it. I don't know why. I've just been apprehensive to pull the trigger on it. So what, you know, what was the big thing for you when you started that?
The big thing for me, number one, I was hearing, I don't have to eat chicken 5 times a day. I don't have to eat fish 5 times a day. My God, somebody else has an answer besides, you know, you hear the same bullshit in every bodybuilding diet that every trainer sends out. I mean, not every. I'm being facetious now. I'm pushing it, but you know, you hire a fine trainer, I can already tell you what that shit's gonna look like. It's gonna look like broccoli, rice, chicken. It's gonna have some white fish in there. It's, you know, it's green beans. It's the same stuff every single time.
Right.
So for me, and I've always had some gut issues. I have. So when he started talking, and I went to one of his seminars and I got to meet him and Keith are very, very, very close. They actually kind of grew up in college together at the same time, and they've been very close for years. He'll tell you that a whole lot more than I will. But so I did more research when I got a chance to meet the man and got to then listen to a seminar. And then I was lucky enough to actually go out and have a meal with him and listen to him for another 2 hours talk about it. And even from the standpoint of just calories in versus calories out, I get that. I know that I got to be in a small caloric deficit in order to continue to lose weight. But that's not even what I was worried about. Just the overall health and gut health and being able to process the foods that I ate, what sounded amazing for me. And I said, well, I got nothing to lose by trying this. And in a week, literally in a week, my gut, I was a guy that was on prescription antacids, Prilosec I was taking twice a day. I was doing all kinds of stuff. In literally a week, I went off of all my stomach meds. I went off all my IBS meds. It changed how I feel. And if I deviate from it for more than a meal or two, it sets right back in. So I can tell you this, spend the $100, buy the book, and just give it 30 days. If you don't like it in 30 days, then go on your way. But it was an amazing game changer for me.
So did you I'm assuming then you ended up buying the book?
Well, sort of. I mean, you know, Keith and him are close, so
Sure.
I might have a little bit more insight on I bought that he offers a cookbook, and then he offers the actual vertical diet book.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and bought the $35 cookbook.
Okay, I got
and
you.
then I continue to pick Keith's mind on the rest of it, because he sets up my diet. He sets up my diet plans, but the basis of the diet plans are based around the vertical diet.
Right. Okay.
With a few minor tweaks. Every client's going to tweak a little bit here and there. So he does a few things for me, but that's the basis of it.
Right. Right. That's it's nice to have a chat with somebody who went through it, because like you said, man, I mean, there's diets all over the place, and the one thing, like, there's a difference between a diet and a lifestyle. You know, would you consider this more, you know, is this more of a true lifestyle for you now?
Yes, I say the word diet, and let's give my definition. I know that most diets are any quote unquote diet will work for anybody. I don't care if it's keto, I don't care if it's paleo, I don't care if it's carnivore, whatever you're trying to do. We all know it's calories in versus calories out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to lose weight and you're in a caloric deficit every single day, I don't care if you're only eating 8 Snickers bars, you're still going to end up losing weight.
Right.
Now, you're going to be unhealthy as fuck, you're going to look terrible, you're going to feel terrible, but you're going to move the scale. And that's what people don't get, because they ask me, well, how many calories do you take in versus how many you put? I'm literally within about 250 to 300 calories a day, plus minus, because my whole thing is I'm trying to lose fat with building muscle. So I know that mine is a super long-term time. Yeah. Nothing I do changes very quickly when it comes to that, because I'm so close to calories in versus calories out. But this has been the diet that has made my body feel the best of anything that I have tried. I think that's the key, because people can continuously try these keto things and everything else. And like I tell them, they'll work. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. Right. But you're probably not doing it the smartest way possible. So yeah, this is a lifestyle for me. I can still have a, you call it a cheat meal, you call it a refeed, you call it whatever you want. You can still live your life and go have that pizza and do those things, and you're not going to be destroying what you're doing. You're not going to be kicking your body out of ketosis, or you're not going to be, you know, screwing up your gut so bad that you're going to be on the toilet for the next 2 days because you've been doing paleo. Yeah. You know, so yeah, this can be a true easy lifestyle change for people, because you get to eat sourdough bread. You get to, you know, eat a lot of different things that you would never think that you eat on a quote unquote diet.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Within the range of what you can and cannot eat, have you felt the urge to go back to like a pizza here and there? You know, how do you feel, you know, if you know, when you deviate? You said that, you know, you can still have that. Do you still have the urge to I guess, want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing about, I was notorious. I don't know if you know anybody that's a sleep eater. I'm a sleep eater. Like, there's people who sleepwalk and do stuff like that. I get up and I make myself food in the middle of the night in my sleep.
Wow.
Like, yeah, seriously. And I've tried all of the different medications to get me to sleep. It's just not a thing for me. So there will be nights that, you know, I wake up and there's stories about me eating 5 peanut butter and jellies in the middle of the night. Like, you know, I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, I've come to the conclusion that when I don't give in to my body every once in a while, I'll notice that I will have one of those nights. I'll wake up the next morning and I've got a completely empty tub of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. The entire thing in the middle of the night. So yeah, I believe in the fact that you have to put a little extra in there. I mean, are most of us going to ever be competitive bodybuilders or anything like that, to where we have to be on such a strict lifestyle that you can't do that? No.
Right.
No. So, I mean, you got to live. You do. It's making a different choice that today I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to go out to this restaurant or I'm going to go to Texas Roadhouse and I want to get a nice big fatty steak. Okay, get your nice fatty steak. You want to get your sweet potato, get your sweet potato. Just don't get it with the brown sugar, the butter, and the marshmallow fluff on top of it.
Right.
So, yeah, let's make smart decisions.
Right. And I think that's where, and I'm guilty of that too. And you mentioned it earlier, you know, they put themselves in this box, and they feel like if they open up the box, it's like Pandora's box. You know, you have one bad decision, and then it leads to 2 and to 3 and to 4, and then the next thing you know, you're completely off the rails, and you know, you lose all of the confidence and the momentum, and then people feel like they go back to square one, and they're going back to square one every week, and it can be really, really difficult for people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, you know, as you've seen this transition, where do you want your weight to be at? You know, do you have a set weight? You know, you mentioned you were wanting to put more muscle back on. How has that process been going? Are you feeling yourself, you know, with the scale? Has that been a problem, seeing the numbers go back up as you've added on muscle? Or are you trying to put a little bit of weight back on, you know, the muscle weight versus losing the fat? You know, where do you want your weight to be?
Well, and see, the tricky part about that is that I do have, and first and foremost, probably the second question I get most is, well, how much extra skin do you have? You know, because you lose 200 plus pounds, people are like, well, what it comes with that? So we talk about the fact that, you know, I'm going to go in, you know, by the end of the year, I'm going to have the skin surgery removal, you know, November, December range, wintertime. Because I had made a decision when, I don't know what it was, probably 6 months ago, when we're really starting to see some major transformations and all that. And I go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is my platform. This is my billboard. We're going to take it as far as we can. So what's the ultimate thing that we can take it to do? Do a show, right?
Good
so
for
we're going to do a show. And it's not that I have any want to be up on a stage. I don't want to be in that little Speedo. I don't want to do that stuff. But ultimately, I think that people need to see that this dude can go from 430 pounds to being on a stage at 5% body fat or whatever it's going to be, and that he made this transition, and it can be done, and it can be done in under 5 years. And you know, I'm not a kid. I turn 44 next month. So don't tell me you can't do it. Don't tell me it can't be done. Don't give me your excuses. Your excuses are only for yourself. Because at 40, if I made the decision that I was going to change everything about me, from my career to my relationships to my health, and I decided I was going to do a 180, don't give me your excuses. So ultimately, you asked me about my weight and all that. It's hard to tell, because realistically, I've probably got about anywhere from 15 to 20 extra pounds of skin. And I weigh 218 to 222, depending on the day. So I'm really somewhere in that 200 to 205 range.
Okay.
Once that all goes off of there. But I am going to get up on stage. I'm going to probably, the idea is to do maybe the Omaha in, you know, July of next year, Springfield or something like that. And be able to get up there and do it if I'll be fully healed and have enough time to put some size back on after taking 2 months off from the gym.
Right. Good for you, man. That's outstanding. I cannot wait to see that. That's going to be a wild ride for you. So there's no doubt you're going to get a lot of support. You mentioned your kids. You know, what has this done for them? Not only for them, but what's it done for the people around you? You know, the close family and friends that knew you, the old you, versus what you've been able to do now. Has that changed their own mindset? Has that changed their own lives in a way?
Yeah, you know, what it first did was my circle got a lot smaller. People would think, well, now you have social media platforms, you have things like, you know, we're talking about this podcast right now and stuff like that. You think your circle grows. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It gets a lot smaller. Yeah. You figure out in a heartbeat who truly cares about you and who has really been there about themselves the entire time. Because when you finally take stock in yourself, and this is a selfish I won't call this a selfish sport. To get yourself healthy mentally and physically, it is the most selfish and needed thing that you have to do. When I hear people tell me I don't have time because of my kids, I don't have time because of my family, and I straight tell them that's bullshit, because your family and your kids will benefit more from you changing than anybody else. And they will be there to support you because they love you, because they want you healthy, because you are going to be a better person mentally and you're going to be a better person physically. You know, my son's going to be 24 in November. So, you know, he's grown, he's been doing his own thing for quite a while. But he is, it's not one of those things where he's like, hey dad, I'm proud of you or whatever, but you can definitely tell that there's a difference. I mean, we see each other, we talk to each other on a daily basis. He reaches out, you know, he asks for advice, he asks for pointers. You can tell that he's happy. I wouldn't say I missed a lot of years, but I definitely pissed away a lot of years with my lifestyle, because I was too big to enjoy a lot of things with him. I was working too much to enjoy a lot of things with him. You know, all the things, excuses that we make. So that's definitely improved. My daughter is 16. She's 16 going on 26. Yeah, great girl, but teenage girls, it's a different thing. It's a different world. She's proud. She is. She's happy to see, I think from my daughter's standpoint, she's happy to see her dad happy. And that's an amazing thing. When your kids can see that you're happy, it truly makes all the difference in their life. We spend so much of, I finally, at least this is what I think. I spent so much of my life trying to work my ass off to try to give them everything that I thought they wanted, when in reality, they want two things. They want to see you happy and they want your time. Outside of that, the rest is just material bullshit.
Right.
If you're truly happy with what you do, and when you come home every day and you bring that positivity into a household, your kids just feed off of that. The people around you feed off of that. So yeah, that's a long way around your question, but my group of people have gotten a lot smaller, but they are truly there to support me. They are happy for me. And in return, you know, I'm more there for them on an everyday basis and every need basis, because I'm just a better person than I used to be.
That's so true. You know, I made a post today that as a part of my Saturday Strength Spotlight, it was an article I had written last year about being cautious about the people within your own circle. So the fact that you're talking about that further validates what I had written. And it's so true, because, you know, when you start to take stock on some of the people within your own life, if they're either jealous of what you want, or if they're not happy to see you succeeding, then that's a problem, and there's potential danger. And there was something that I had heard Jordan Peterson talk about. He said, you know, if you stop talking to people and just watch what they're up to, they'll pretty much tell you what they're about. And I think that that's so true, because the ones who are really invested in you are going to be the ones that are going to be there to push you, take you to the next level, just like what Keith is doing. You know, the ones who are ecstatic to see you succeed are the ones who really care.
Exactly. And that's just it. And it comes full circle. I mean, there would be a time and place in the past where if I didn't think you were a good person, or I, you know, disagreed or whatever, I would have gave you the same energy that you gave me. Anymore, I'm not. I try to put nothing but positive out there, because it's whatever you put out there is what's going to come back to you. So even if you have negative people that are hanging around, clinging, trying to grab, and there's people out there that just try to hold on because they think that somewhere along this line that you're going to hit something big and they're going to be there to get a piece of that pie. I mean, there is. I don't care how small we are, what we do, or how huge we are. There's always those people hanging on thinking they're going to get a piece of something if you ever hit it. You know, they will all sort, the negative people will all sort their way out in the end. You just be positive to everybody. You treat everybody with respect. I don't care if they're the president of a company or they're the janitor at that one. You treat them all the same. They'll all sort it out in the end. Karma really is that bitch they talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. What has it been like as you've been posting these pictures? You mentioned how people have been messaging you. What has that experience been like now people are reaching out to you for advice?
You know, then that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to make a connection with somebody somewhere. My idea behind this entire thing was, if I can get my story out to people and they can stop and they read it, and I can make a connection with even just a handful of people throughout my life that maybe can get them to stop and change their life for the better. It's a snowball effect that they will do the same thing and they will affect somebody else. And, you know, it's kind of like multi-level marketing, but for, you know, for in a positive way.
Yeah.
But that was my idea. Now, at times it's overwhelming, because the phone, you're trying to run a business, the phone's going off 24/7. I haven't figured this out yet. I'm still trying. I need to be smarter and go, okay, I'm going to set aside 1 hour a day and I'm going to reply to my messages, and it's going to be at this time or whatever. But I'm not like that. I'm still that guy where if I get a message, I try to reply to as soon as possible, because I want people to think that I'm not, you know, that I'm actually there to help if I can and give them encouragement, that kind of stuff. For me, I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Right.
But I don't try to give anybody advice. What I do is I like to tell them my story, and then I like to say, here's the deal. Here is some of the best people that I know and where I got a lot of my information. Now, do the research, get the help, and we're all in a community and we're all doing this together. So I try to give them the motivation and positive reinforcement and all that. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not going to be able to tell you what's right to eat, what's wrong to eat. I'm not going to be able to tell you what exercises to do. I'm not that guy. But if you're looking for something to correlate into your life that you and I can, you know, talk about, and maybe we have the same platform together, maybe we have some of the same experiences, and how did I emotionally or mentally get through some of those things, that's where I really find my niche with people, to make that mental and emotional connection, that maybe they can get on to the next step.
Yeah, that's a good advice there. One thing, again, I really admire your whole mental attitude about this, because it's a journey like yours, man. It's there's got to be ups and downs without a doubt. What was, you know, as you went through this whole process, what was one of the more difficult times? Can you recall a point in time where, you know, maybe you were going through the weight loss and you just kind of hit a wall and you were like, son of a bitch, like, this is really hard?
Mm-hmm. You know, it happens more often than you would think. There becomes points in time. For me, this transparency part that we're doing right here, and I know that you're like, a lot of people are like, man, you talk so openly and so freely and stuff. This is the hardest part. This really is, because trying to be truly transparent about your life, who you were and who you are, and admit your negatives and your downfalls and all that kind of stuff, that will drive a human being back to wanting to drink, back to wanting to eat, because you're creating the most vulnerable parts of you.
Yeah.
And you're exposing them in hopes that it makes the connection with somebody else, because we all have our vulnerabilities. Yeah. We all have, and I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm some sort of therapist or shit here, but really, I am that dude that believes that if you don't mentally get right first, that any physical change you make will essentially go back. It will. It doesn't matter if it's 6 months from now or 6 years from now. If you don't ever mentally get right, then all this physical stuff will never last. So that's why I preach this mental stuff so much, is because that to me is the heart and soul of changing physically, and changing your health is to change your mind before you do anything.
Absolutely. I mean, you're such a good fit for, especially my own motto, you know, because one of the big things that I push is strength and leadership, and that the leadership side of it is so much of a mental discipline, you know, and being able to learn more about yourself and how to put yourself out there the right way, and to lead by example, and, you know, to look out for the person to the left of you, to the right of you. So there's so much of that is so critical, that I don't think many people, like you had said, it's, if you don't get it right, you'll never get it, and you'll end up faltering back, you know. And so that, like, when I had seen a lot of the posts that you had made, I was like, damn, like, this guy's got it right. Like, he's on point, and you're not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. So that's something that I admire incredibly. What has been one of the best, I guess, benefits of this whole process to date? Aside from, I guess I should preface that, aside from just the initial weight loss, right? What's been an additional benefit of the whole process?
You know, besides gaining years on my life, I give two parts. One part is seeing some of the positive impact that I've been able to make. I can go out and literally go through, you know, different things. I can go through my phone. I can go out to different people that I know and look at people that have reached out to me and that continue to do, and I can see the changes they made. I'll give you a great little story, and people, I try to get him to post more, and he won't do it. He's just not that guy. But Steve Fonseca, great guy. I know Steve will be watching this, so listen, go post more. Be proud of what you've done. He's a great guy that reached out to me, and he's probably he's determined. He gets in the gym, you know, religiously. He does everything. I see him working his ass off. Here's a guy who went from, you know, diabetes and on all the different metformins and meds and everything else. I couldn't tell you everything that he's on, but over the past 9-10 months, he's lost, you know, probably 60 to 70 pounds, probably 65 pounds at this point. He's off almost all of his diabetes meds. You know, he has 3 small children. He's able to go out and work in the yard every weekend, play with his kids, and being able to watch stuff like that, being able to watch a guy my age that has 3 small children and go from being winded after, you know, 5 minutes with him to being able to go play soccer with his son for an hour. That's amazing to me. Yeah. Because you know what? I screwed up a lot of those years. I was too heavy. I was too, quote unquote, busy. Right. I missed those years with my lifestyle. So to know that I have an impact on somebody and being able to watch him do those things and watch his life through the glass, that makes me insanely happy to know that I have that effect, because I literally believe that we all owe it to somebody. It's not our job to make the world necessarily a better place, but I think that we owe it. It is our job to touch a few people. We all have an opportunity to influence and better some people's lives. And if you have that opportunity and you don't do it, then I think it's shame on you. Mm. We can't all be activists. We can't all be out there, you know, trying to change the world. But if I'm that guy that I believe if you can change just a few people, then you end up changing the world.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to worry on those few people, and then those few people will get a few more people, and we'll snowball this, and we'll be a lot better place.
Yeah. Well, it's like dropping a stone in the pond, right? I mean, those small ripples, they make a big impact. No matter how small the ripple is, it still does something. And so that's amazing. What a great story, and good for him. What about, you got any books or podcasts that you would recommend to anybody? Has there been anything else outside of, you know, the people in the gym and things like that that you've been listening to that's helped you?
You know, I listen to a little bit of everything. Obviously I love when Zach put me onto your stuff. That was phenomenal. I loved it. There is nobody that I sit there and I go, I'm going to listen on a regular basis. I try to, kind of broaden my horizon. So I literally will go out and pick a genre of what I want to get better at, whether it be business, whether it be mental health, whatever category, I go pick and I just start, picking and choosing here and there. If I'm going to listen to a podcast and I go, okay, what do you need to work on this week? What do you need to be a little better on? Are you feeling, a certain way? Then I'll go out and I'll just start pick and choose. So I believe in just basically throwing the net out there and taking a little bit away from everybody. So I wouldn't say that there's anybody in particular that I listen to on a regular basis. I'm literally that guy that tries to get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Awesome. As we start to wind down here, I always end my my podcast with two simple questions. I always like to see the answers. If you could give me the first word or phrase that comes to your mind when you hear the word strength, what comes to mind?
Very first thing that came to my mind was probably my mom, because God bless her, she's got to be one of the strongest women that I know, strongest people that I know. I shouldn't even say women. So when I think of strength, I think of my mom. I think of people.
What makes her so special?
Well, I mean, number one, she's my mom, so
right.
we're there. But it doesn't matter what it is. She has the mental strength to get past everything. She has dealt with so much adversity throughout her life, and yet she still, every day, I talk to her every single day. That phone rings, I pick it up, and she has never once that I can remember called me, and you could hear her voice anything but happy. That takes a strong person. When you can get on that and you try to lift other people up, and that's what she does. She calls me, honey, how are you doing? And it's that uplifting attitude, and that is strength in itself. That is more strength than I have. I'll make phone calls, and I know that people can hear at times the negativity in my voice. As much as I try, we all do that. And for somebody that can pick up that phone, or you can see them every day and there's a smile on their face and they're there to pick you up, that's as strong as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. How about leadership? First word or phrase that comes to mind?
Leaders are doers. That's kind of my idea. A leader, just like you said, they do it first. They give the example. They don't. It's nothing that they wouldn't be willing to not do themselves. So I think leaders are doers.
Awesome. That's a really good one too. All things I have yet to hear. I haven't heard any repeats yet, so that's a good thing. But Tony, man, this is incredible, man. I really appreciate the time, and just your story, I hope has a chance to reach some other people that haven't seen it. And so for those of you, if you're not following Tony, please do so. And I always like to finish this up too. So any shameless plugs, man, if you want to give a shout out or any shameless plug, this is your chance. So anything that you want to promote or shout out to, I'll give you a chance.
No, I'm not gonna. If you want anything, if you want to see, we have a little. We're called the Fuck Average Crew. That's kind of our motto is fuck average. Everything that we do. I mean, I've taken it so far to tattoo it on my goddamn body.
I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, along with the rest of it, but go to my IG. It's all there. It's just T Sanders 76. Go to my IG, Tony Sanders, T Sanders 76. And anything that you want to know, anything you want to follow, any plug that I have is right there. I just appreciate the platform and the opportunity that you've given me today to connect with however many people are going to be on the other end of this.
Well, that's great, man. And wish nothing but the best for you, brother. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed since I discovered your page. It's been a lot of fun watching you train and even looking at the past pictures and seeing how far you've come. And good luck with the surgery here in this winter, and hopefully we'll have another chance to talk. Maybe we can get back together after the surgery and catch up and see how we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, man. All right, my man. So you have yourself a great day, and I appreciate the time, buddy.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thanks, Tony.